Welcome to Last Call. Happy Saturday. Oh, guys, we got a star-studded lineup for you today. I just was texting John Murray for some of his college basketball needs, so I will make sure to get those before the end of the show. I do apologize. No art to Caesar. You know, everybody deserves a Saturday off, especially as many as I take. So we've got a star-studded lineup for you today. We've got Gianni the Greek. You guys know him from Bet On It. Speaking of Bet On It, we've also got Ralph Michaels. He's going to take your college basketball questions. We're also going to talk some bowl stuff. And of course, he's got his coveted trends and angles for you guys. And then our favorite WagerTalk veteran, Mark Zinno, is going to come on and talk Army, Navy to end the show. So if you guys have a question regarding college basketball, college bowl season, a college bowl game, a college basketball game, or Army, Navy, please drop it in the chat because your participation is why we are here. I was at the casino late last night. Don't ask me how I got drug into that one, but I am not hungover because I at least opted to be smart enough not to drink last night. I got to make my money back, and there's no better way to get it back than to talk to Yanni the Greek. Let's bring him in. He joins us every single Saturday to give us a look behind that computer screen, tell us what the sharp guys are betting and what maybe we should be confirming with our own bets, or maybe we should be saying, all right, we should stay off. VR, I got caught steam chasing yesterday.
I've been there.
I liked an over yesterday. It was 141, hit 142. I said, all right, I'm going to join this group. 143, I saw the ticker, and about 5 minutes before tip, I saw it just completely come the other way. And I knew that I got had by a group that earlier in the morning was trying to steam it up. Those things happen, but those are why, that's part of the reason why you're here, to teach us to avoid doing those things more often and to help us kind of, right the ship here on Saturday morning.
I fight those demons, Kel, every day. Every day I have to fight those demons, honestly, because I get so much different information. And sometimes by the time I look on screen, it may be a half point different, a point different. And I'm like, what do I do? Do I still fire? Because there's still AV a lot of times left, because I even see some of these groups, they'll take the second number, the third number, the fourth number sometimes, and there's still EV there. They wouldn't be firing. So I have to draw that conclusion. Do I fire or do I not fire? That's one of the hardest things to do, like to become that disciplined where you only take the number or nothing else. I know very few people that do that. In fact, one of my partners that's in Florida, it's one of the few guys that I know actually do that. Like, this kid will not take, Kelly. If you're laying minus 113, if it's minus 115, he will not take it. If they want 113, he will not take 115. He will not pay that 2 cents on the 100 to get the bet down. And it's that kind of discipline, obviously, why his ROI is higher than mine. My profit might be bigger because I bet more volume because of it, but his ROI is a lot higher because he'll cash a lot more tickets and probably have a lot less stress than me. Believe me, I fight those same demons, Kel.
Yeah, in the first half, I knew it was a loser, and I knew that I had been had, and I thought, you know what? Sometimes it's better to just buy off that bet. But actually, I forgot we have UFC tonight. So David in the comment section wants to know if Colby wins tonight, VR.
I'll tell you this. My money's on Colby Covington tonight. I haven't released that to subscribers, but I'm telling you now, I'm going to be betting Colby Covington. I just thought that the line may climb some more because once they see the size and they see Buckley and they see the hot streak coming in and how well he's done as a favorite, I was expecting that line to climb. And anything at plus 200 or better on Colby, I thought was stealing, because you got to win that fight 1 out of 3 times just for it to be profitable. And Colby beats him 1 out of 3 times easily. I mean, if he doesn't get knocked out, Colby could easily grind this fight and make it ugly and win a decision easily in this fight if he could avoid the big shot. I would not lay this chalk on Buckley in that main event spot. Again, he comes in with all the momentum, all the hot hand, and almost the trajectory of careers where Colby's towards the end of his. But still, resume-wise, skill set-wise, there is no way you're going to lay that kind of chalk with Buckley. Bad bets win all the time. And Buckley tonight at minus 250, 260, whatever he is a terrible bet against Colby Covington. Dog or pass. Win or lose, you placed a good bet.
I must have been living under a rock because I just realized there was UFC in Tampa tonight. So I may see if anybody wants to go. Nathan wants to talk about the Army total at 39. Have you heard anything on the total? I bet the over 38 earlier in the week, VR. I think both of these offenses are significantly better. And obviously, Mark Zinno is going to break down the game a little bit more at the end of the show for us. But I was generally curious here. I feel like when the market moves against or moves with me, it's usually kind of one of those confidence things. Like, okay, I feel pretty good. I'm holding the 38 in pocket. I did the right move, right? I did my job, as you like to say.
Yep. Kel, that's the truth. I mean, it sucks, but I can't stop saying this. Bad bets win all the time. Good bets lose all the time. I'm here in Las Vegas, right down the street from me. I use this analogy all the time. Someone just hit a number on roulette and got paid 35-1, and they're so happy. They got 35-1 on their money. They're thinking, I placed a great bet. You couldn't have placed the worst bet. There's 38, 39 numbers on that damn roulette wheel. Unless you got paid 40-1, you placed a terrible bet. You just got lucky and won. It's the same thing with sports betting. If you got an over 38 in your pocket and it closes 39, 39 and a half, dude, you did your job. Especially it's expected to be a low scoring game. Every half point matters. You kick your feet up and you do that over and over again, you'll make a living doing nothing but betting sports. That's the disconnect that most recreational bettors never get over. They believe that a good bet is one that won, and nothing could be further from the truth. So to answer that question, it's a long roundabout way, but we went over 38, 38 and a half as well. I know another group that even went over 39 a few days ago, and we also picked off the 7. I'm with the guys that took the 7 on Navy. I know there's some sharp money that bet Army up from 4.5 and 5. But I came in over the top after they bet it up to that key number of 7, and I took some 7 on Navy, and I also got the over 38.5, 39 in that game as well. I see another. I made a mistake on Western Michigan. Like I took the 8 on Western Michigan. The line moved my way for a day or two, but now I'm looking. I could have got 9 today on Western Michigan. Dude, that's a bad bet. I'm hoping to be the product of good luck and have Western Michigan cash for me. But that's not a good bet. I could have got 9, 9.5 today. Instead, I got 8 in my pocket. So if that wins, sure, I'm going to be happy, but I'm not. I can't conclude that I placed a good bet. In fact, I got to tell myself, you placed a terrible bet, bro. What happened? What did you miss? And, you know, that's how you got to be honest as a sports bettor. Because, again, we get happy because we're also fans. You're not in this by accident. You're betting sports because you like sports. But you got to be able to separate it, because if you don't treat it like a business, it's never going to pay you like a business. And when it comes to numbers, you got to get good numbers. Or if it moves against you like that, like I said, Western Michigan can't place the worst bet at +8, but I did. And that's the price you pay of trying to get out ahead. If you could be right 6 out of 10 times, you're way ahead of the game. But a few of those times, the line's going to move against you if you try to get out ahead. A lot today, a lot of college basketball. Like I said, there was some college football as well, and MMA tonight. Just a busy weekend. NFL tomorrow. I could run off some college basketball if you want, Kel.
Yeah, let's hear it, VR. I would love to hear your college basketball. Any early bowl stuff that you guys may have bet, and kind of talk to me about, for the bowl stuff, how are you guys approaching it? Because we've seen in years past where, you know, we get a lot of opt-outs. We get coaches leaving for other jobs. There's been some, not so fun things for us bettors, right? Trying to navigate the new bowl season. But now with 12 teams in the college football playoff, at least those are fairly set in stone.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to try to get out ahead, Kel, and want to move on everything that's going to move during the bowl games and rush. And I found over the last at least 5 to 10 years, you don't have to. Because what happens is the hardcore fans, even the sharp bettors and wise guys, yeah, they'll get down early, but the bulk of the money, 90% of the money is not going to come in until the day of the game. And that's going to affect the betting line. So even if I miss a number, it's okay. I don't have to take the bad one. Sit back and wait and see if the bus and the boat comes back so I can ride it again. If the boat doesn't come back, then we let it go and we find another ride. You know, there's always another game. But with the bowls, that's what you have to do. You got to be patient because, like you just said, there's information that's going to come where players are not going to play, coaches, what have you. They move here, there. The line's going to be affected. If you're guessing, like, you don't want to lay 11 to 10 and guess. You got to remember, every sports bet you place, you're paying admission. Anytime you have to lay 11 to win 10, you're paying an admission. So you're being charged to place your bet. So do it wisely. Don't just throw it out there. And with the bowl games, that's the best advice I could give you because there is so much value in the bowl games. Over the last 5 years at WagerTalk, just look at my bowl results. And I've learned to do that. To wait, be patient, because there's some big edges, like where players aren't playing and the line may move 3 or 4 points, but it's not enough. It should have moved 11 points. And those are the ones I like to take advantage of, where sometimes it looks like I may take the second number or third number, but it's still the right side. And that's what with the bowl games, because remember, those are aimed at the betting public more than anything else. And they're going to have to shade towards those biases. That's what you want to take advantage of. The bias of the bettors going into the bowls. Whoever they think are the best teams are usually going to be overvalued. The bad teams are going to be undervalued. It doesn't change year in, year out. Real fast, college basketball. I don't want to hold up. I know Kelly's got a lot of great guests, going to share a lot of great information. I placed over 15, 20 bets already. Only 4 or 5 have made it premium plays. Here's some information for you guys. This is the regular board. 631 UCLA plus 4.5. 685 Gonzaga -2. 684 Colorado State plus 6.5. 669 Townsend -1.5. I'm only going to give you size because with the totals, there's a lot of manipulation, a lot of middling of line, a lot of moving it up to then come down. I don't want to point anyone in the wrong direction. Extra board games, 306, and then the 3 extra numbers, 306, 559. Coppin State got bet by 4 different groups at 39, 38.5, and 38. It's still up there. I don't know why. I just took 38.5 about 15 minutes ago. Coppin State plus 38 or better. Lamar, 306, 561. Lamar plus 2.5. They also went under in that game. That looks legit. And then Central Arkansas plus 28. That's 306, 587. Central Arkansas plus 28. And finally, this came on right before I jumped on, and I sent that out to subscribers as well. Hawaii -3.5 and 4. I don't think you're going to get it, but they came back and laid the 4.5. So you're probably good up to 5 on Hawaii. Those are all the strong sides. Like I said, I have totals, but this early in the season, there's a lot of manipulation going on. A few weeks from now, I'll feel more comfortable sharing totals. I just don't want to point anyone in the wrong direction, especially this late. It's with college basketball, it's one of those day-by-day sports like baseball. You know, you do have overnights, but there's a lot of manipulation going on early on.
Love that. VR, anything early for the college football playoff that you've seen anybody bet? You know, I know the Westgate has those hypothetical lines out that you can bet. Assuming Ohio State's going to advance or Penn State's going to advance, you can start to bet those teams in the second round.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. We took 10 on Michigan. I haven't given that to subscribers yet. We took 10 on the Michigan side. And I love you guys. And Kelly's my girl. So I'm just going to tell you, this is what my guy sent me last night. He's one of the best bowl guys on the planet. He bets like 10 dimes a game. All he does is bet gold bowl games every year. He's like a really smart dude. Honestly, this is his edge. Doesn't bet anything else. He sent me Baylor plus 1.5. He's betting 1.5, 1.5x on it, and Buffalo plus 1.5, 1.5x. So Baylor plus 1.5 and Buffalo plus 1.5. He bet 1.5x what he usually bets on both of those. That just came to me late last night while I was sleeping. So I haven't even dug into it to send the subscribers. But Michigan, we did use Michigan plus 10. I bet that for one of the guys I moved for.
All right. Very, very great stuff as always from VR. VR, tell them where they can see you besides on Bet On Wednesdays. You do the Steam Room. You're going to be joining me again tomorrow, as you do every single Sunday, for the NFL edition of Last Call. And let everybody know where they can get your premium plays.
Absolutely. Head on over to WagerTalk.com. Tomorrow we have the Steam Room as well. We're going to go over each and every NFL game, coming off a nice hot week last week where we swept the 4% plays. Got a couple good ones for tomorrow. Got UFC tonight. Of course, college basketball and college football in the system. And of course, the bowl games are coming up. And I'll be back tomorrow for Last Call. And starting Monday, I'm going to do pretty much every day Wager Talk Today as much as possible. I want to come every morning and share some of this because I get so much information when I wake up. There's like so much in the accounts. I'd love to share that with the bettors so they have all day to dissect it. So me and Gianni talked, and I'm going to jump on every morning, try to share as much as I can. So make sure you check out Wager Talk Today starting Monday.
I love that, love that, love that. All right, guys, right now, the Gold Sheet and I have partnered up. They're going to give you guys a free issue if you use coupon code KIV. Normally $19 for the football issue, but today only it is free using coupon code KIV. That is www.wagertalk.com/gold sheet. Head over there. Check it out. They always put out a ton of really great information to help you handicap either the college football or the NFL games. Let's bring in Ralph. We're going to take your college basketball questions as well as talk some bowls. We got some TNA because that's the stat daddy and that's what he does at Cal Sports LV. If you guys are looking for for any extra TNA. But Ralph, let's start it off. Bowl season, as VR and I just touched on, can be a little difficult to navigate sometimes, right? So right now I'm in a Splash Sports college football pick'em. You still have about 45 minutes to sign up, splashsports.com/KellyInVegas. And they have the FCS games. And I'm going, oh my God, I know nothing. And I'm making phone calls to a couple people asking for help. But I like that they segment it out because there is so much information. There are so many opt-outs, whether it's the transfer portal, whether it's a coach leaving, all of these things to navigate. When you're looking at college bowl season, can you break down how you approach it in this, what we'll call it, new era? I think Ralph is muted. Ralph, see if you're...
My apologies, guys. I
No
guess,
worries.
Kelly needs to scold me and say, okay, Ralph, before you talk, unmute your damn computer so we can hear you. Cal, prior to 3 years ago, I probably bet 80% of my bowl games the first week. I did a matchup chart. I gave edges in each team and each unit, and I was able to make all my bets, and I had great success. But, there are some teams now that are probably going to be without 4, 5, 6, 7 starters, and many of them opt out late that you don't know. So it's really changed. VR talked about the day of the games, and I think that's even more relevant now that there's a lot of late money because of the changes. So simply this, I write down the games I lean with at the beginning of the season. When we get a few days away from game time, I make sure I still have those edges with opt-out. So do your work early. Don't be talked into situations that aren't legitimate. Make sure you look at the matchups early and then make your adjustment day of the game or the day before if it is still a bettable situation with the players playing in this game.
Very good information from the OG guy himself. Ralph Michaels has worked everywhere under the sun. It is interesting because I just opened up a North Coast newsletter because I wanted to see what they had for college basketball today. And I go, oh my God, Ralph worked there too. If you guys haven't seen his resume, it's been incredibly great. Ralph, we're going to get into some college basketball, but I want these guys to drop some questions in the comment section. And while you're there, drop a like. But Ralph's going to answer all your college basketball questions here in a minute. But let's talk some of these FCS games, Ralph, and then give us some TNA as well for this bowl season. Western Michigan versus South Alabama in regards to the total, 57.5.
Well, Kelly, anytime you have a total over 7 in the bowl where one team is significantly favored, the game tends to go over to the tune of 58%. So I always lean that way early. And I do like Western Michigan in this game. With South Alabama, you have a team that has been very good offensively. I mean, you're looking at a team that has a quarterback that throws the ball, breaks it downfield. But, they're missing their running back. He was an opt-out. That's a big miss for a team like this. If you're missing a star player, and you're a Power 5 team, your backups are likely 4-star or 5-star recruits. When you get some of these smaller schools, Sun Belt and MAC teams, you don't have the same backups. So to me, when a star player is out for these type of teams, it's a situation that I look to fade. And one other thing I looked at, Kelly, I broke down double-digit bowls, and we'll talk about double-digit dogs in a bit, and dogs of 7.5 or more. One thing I have found is this: early in the bowl season, prior to Christmas, that's when your smaller conferences play. We usually didn't have even Power 5 conferences playing before Christmas. Those were the MACs, the CUSAs, the Americans playing in those smaller bowls. Well, big dogs prior to Christmas are actually a negative, but big dogs after Christmas are a positive. Why? You have more quality teams. Teams have more time to prep, and those teams have covered well. So that is going against early bowl game on Western Michigan, but I do lean with them. The MAC's been the most profitable conference in bowl games the last 3 years. I will back Western Michigan. Wasn't a client play, wasn't even a strong opinion, but I certainly lean that way.
All right, Ralph, let's talk about some more of these bowl games and situations you like to look for. I find it really interesting because VR mentioned Michigan plus 10, right? Like that's a kind of a really one of those types of games where I thought, I don't want to get involved with this Michigan team. Off a national championship, barely makes a bowl game. They just won their Super Bowl over your Ohio State Buckeyes. Any opinion there on Michigan coming up in their bowl game?
Well, one situation you have to look for is bubble burst. And bubble burst has changed quite a bit now in the first year of the playoffs. But I used to love fading teams SEC teams that lost in the conference championship because you were one game away from getting to the 4-team playoffs. Well, now we have the expanded playoffs, so all those teams that lost in the conference championships are still playing. But Alabama being the first team out, I think has legitimate bubble burst. They thought they would be in up until the selection committee made their announcements on Sunday. I'm sure Alabama players and coaches still thought they would be in ahead of SMU. But one thing that stopped me from betting the game already was this. I mean, Jalen Milroe came out very strong and said, listen, we talked among all our starters and we talked about our stars, and we are all going to play in this bowl. So I'm going to re-question that game and take a look at really who is going to play. You may be talking now, the game's still a few weeks away, so we'll see what happens. Clearly lean Michigan, but I was very surprised that with a first-year head coach and really not a long-term continuity among the players and coaches, that they made that announcement. So we'll see what pans out in that game. Certainly lean the double-digit dog with Michigan.
Absolutely. That game's not until December 31st, but it is on my list. I'm going to take your advice, Ralph. I've gotten burned too many times trying to bet some of these games early over the last couple of years. I've got a little bit of good information that has went my way, most notably when the quarterback for whoever the heck Western Michigan was playing, and I got to take the +7. Patrick Kelty says, thanks for your insight and research, Ralph. So we do thank Ralph. He hangs out with us here on occasion, but you can catch him every single week on WagerTalk's Bet On It, whether it's college football or NFL edition. He is the best. Ralph, let's talk about some college basketball. Some of these bigger games that I know these guys want to hear. Adam's not on today, so we're not talking games like, Vermont. So let's talk about a big marquee game here. Louisville versus Kentucky. This is a funny one, right? Louisville is not the basketball powerhouse that they once were, at least from a betting perspective. 10 pretty much everywhere on the WagerTalk odds screen this morning. Kentucky, on the other hand, first year without Coach Cal. This is kind of a little bit of a big number to lay in a rivalry game.
Kelly, speaking of Vermont, the Catamounts covered their opening game this season, and they have gone 0-9 against the spread since that time. They play Colgate tomorrow, so we'll keep our eye on that if they could snap a 9-game ATS losing streak. So
I love it. Johnny's going to kill us. He's like, no Vermont college basketball, and here we are.
All right, well, let's get to it. You look at Kentucky, obviously Kentucky at home this year. They're playing with fast pace, with Mark Pope. And again, offensively and defensively, their numbers are solid. They're top 30 in both effective field goal percentage on offense and defense. Their only loss was Clemson. And was that a bad loss? I don't consider a 4-point loss to a top 25 team on the road a bad loss. And you also have to look at Kentucky and remember that road game back on December 3rd was their first true road game of the season. That is a situation I always like to fade. Louisville is a team to me that you lose to Tennessee early. Again, not a bad loss. Tennessee, a top 5 team. But you lost to Oklahoma, Mississippi, and Duke. And we saw that stretch where, the Oklahoma loss was a 5-point loss in a neutral setting, a home loss to Mississippi, and then a home loss to Duke. And what happened? That streak of poor play continued when they played UTEP on December the 11th and only won by 3 as a significant favorite. In that game, they shot 6 of 34 from 3-point land. Now, Kentucky's 3-point D, number 7 in the country, allowing 26.3%. Louisville current form, the only way I can go is with the Wildcats.
All right, laying the wood on the hardwood there with the Wildcats. Or Ralph, if you guys have a question for Ralph, please drop it in the chat. We're going to take your questions with him for about 10 more minutes. Then we're going to bring in Mark Zinno to talk some Army Navy. Again, I got to give you guys a really good promo for today. The Gold Sheet said, Kelly, we want you to give it out to all of your followers for free using coupon code KIV. It's normally $19. You're getting it today for free. WagerTalk.com/Gold Sheet. So make sure you guys head over there and so you can read up on Army Navy as well as some of the NFL games for tomorrow. Let's get some more questions here for Ralph. If you guys will drop them in the chat, I will get to them. Ralph, I want to talk about this Gonzaga game. My good friend CT Betts tweeted out this morning that he is on UConn. And I said, well, good news for you, CT. I'm on the Zags. Ralph, I am 2-6 right now to start the college bowl season. Iowa, come on, man. Up double digits at half at home. Just doesn't come out in the second half. It was just absurd. It's not been a fun start to the college basketball season for me, but I've just been dipping my toe in the water, playing a couple games here and there that I really like. And I do really like the Zags today. I was happy to hear VR said he had a group that played him. What is your opinion on that one?
Well, you break down the Zags season. They sit at 7-2. They beat Baylor and Arizona State and San Diego State to start the season. You play a neutral game against West Virginia in overtime, and then you beat Indiana Davidson before losing to Kentucky in overtime. So that was last Saturday. A bad loss? Absolutely not. The West Virginia bad loss? No, a neutral setting. And we know West Virginia's defense can force some turnovers, which happened in that game. UConn started off playing the sister of the poor schedules. Sacred Heart, New Hampshire, Lemoyne, East Texas A&M. Teams that are all 300 or higher in Ken Palm. And then what happened? After playing those first 4 games against very weak opponents, they stepped up in class and they really struggled. I mean, when you play nobody and then have to play Memphis, Colorado, and Dayton all in a neutral environment, they go over. So everyone thought, oh my God, it's over at Connecticut. Their run is over. Well, the win against Baylor and against Texas showed that it really isn't. Gonzaga wants to press the pace. UConn wants to play slow. UConn's biggest deficiency this year is 3-point defense. In fact, they're number 325. I've never seen UConn, let alone the 300 rankings in any defensive category in the last 5 years. But again, they've allowed 37.3% shooting. The issue is this. Gonzaga doesn't shoot threes. They're only number 279 in their percentage of 3 points taken, and they've only shot 33.7%. That is number 164. So in the middle of the road. I actually like under here. Gonzaga's I believe, going to slow the pace a little bit, try to work the ball inside. They don't fire threes. Connecticut, number 319 in tempo. They will shoot some threes, but the Zags are number 2 in 3-point defense. So with the 3-point matchups in this game, UConn bad, Gonzaga not good. UConn good on 3, Gonzaga good on 3. I do lean under.
All right, under for Ralph, Zags for me. Za wants to know Grand Canyon versus Georgia. He likes Georgia -6. Ralph, I'm going to be honest with you. I have a good friend who coaches at Georgia basketball, and normally I pay attention to them, but I have not watched a single Georgia game. So you're on your own. This one.
Yeah, I'm on my own, and I'm not much to share on this game. I looked at the numbers early, and they were close to my numbers, so it's a game that I threw out. Georgia 8-1 on the season, but again, a very weak schedule. They've only played 2 top 75 teams. They lose to Marquette in a neutral setting. They do beat St. John's in a nice win, 66-63. On the Grand Canyon side, it's a team that I have not watched one game this year. Obviously, Bryce Drew has them playing decently. They've played a weak schedule, number 225. They've only played one top 60 team. That was Arizona State, and they lost by 11 in a neutral setting there. That was in, I believe, where the Phoenix Suns play. So it was a semi-Grand Canyon home edge. But again, Arizona State players were excited to play in Phoenix where the Suns play. So I look at this, and Georgia is the only way I can go just because they've been more battle-tested. Georgia's a slow-paced team. Grand Canyon is a fast-paced team, but when I have a slow-paced team with a far superior defense, I usually do lean that way. And again, a slight lean with Georgia. I did not do a deep dive into the game.
I will say this, Ralph. I watched a lot of Georgia basketball since he started coaching there, and they love to turn the ball over. So I don't know if I ever want to lay points with that team, even if they are on the up and up this year. All right, Jamie Mims wants to know, this game actually is tipping off in about 30 minutes. Purdue versus Texas A&M. Purdue was a slight favorite this morning. Sorry, let me get my odds screen open here. This is why I like having multiple screens. Purdue, 2.5, 143.5. And yes, it does tip off in about 30 minutes.
This game is in Indianapolis. It's a doubleheader with Butler and Wisconsin. And this was very close to being a client play release for me, Kelly. So while I didn't have a strong opinion in the Georgia Grand Canyon game, I do have a strong opinion on Purdue in this game. Listen, I've watched Purdue. I played against Purdue at Marquette. That was their first road game of the season. That was their first loss. Against Penn State, their second road game. They went to Penn State. They lost by 11. But at home, and again, this is a semi-home game, they have played great ball. The offense, clicking. The offense, 3 points, number 8, shooting over 40% this year on 3-point plays. You look at Texas A&M, you want to talk defense and no offense? A&M has allowed their opponents to shoot 39% this season. They are number 9 in Ken Palm's adjusted efficiency D, but their offense has struggled. They're averaging 40% shooting on the season, and for them to be playing away from home, I really think that offense is going to struggle. They went to UCF in their opener. They scored 61 points and lost. They played Oregon in a neutral setting. They lost by 10. They did beat Creighton and Rutgers in a neutral setting and Texas Tech. So they've only played one home game. And again, this isn't a home game, but with being in Indianapolis, I predict Purdue to have at least 80% of the crowd in this game. Like Purdue, I think they can have enough offense against a good defense. And I think Purdue's defense is good enough to keep Texas A&M in the 60s. With that said, lean to the under as well.
Ooh, lean to the under as well. All right, one more game, and then we'll get to one more bowl TNA before we get to Mark Zinno. B Daddy wants to know thoughts on UCLA versus Arizona. The total is 145.5. Ralph, I wanted to take Arizona here at home. I love, just like in college football, fading the ranked team catching points. But I think this is just a few too many points for me to be taking with Arizona. Plus, then kind of, BR said, hey, they liked UCLA. So enough to keep me off the game here. UCLA stout defense, which is probably why B Daddy likes the under.
Yeah, Mick Cronin has him going. It reminds me of the defense he had when he was the head coach at Cincinnati, and they are number 4 in Ken Palm's ratings. And their turnover percentage is number 1 on defense. They turn their opponent over once every 4 times the opponent has a ball. That's an amazing number. That won't last when you get into conference play, but again, a crazy number. They've only played 2 games away from home. So you look at the schedule, it's number 310. That's the reason I'm not on UCLA. They're only 2 games away from home. New Mexico, they lost in a neutral setting, and they played a great game against Oregon last Sunday. Isn't it weird? UCLA is off Washington, Oregon, and Arizona, and you think, oh, they're playing conference games this early? No, again, with the new conference setup, a very unique schedule playing those teams that they're accustomed to. But that Oregon win, to me, a great win, but you have to look at it as an anomaly. UCLA was 12 of 23. That is 52% from three-point land. They're not going to shoot 52% from 3 against Arizona in this game. But I also can't get with Arizona. Your 4 losses, Wisconsin, Duke, Oklahoma, and West Virginia, all top 50 teams, but you lost every game. Your wins, Davidson, Canisius, Old Dominion, and Southern Utah, Those teams average rank on Ken Palm over 200. So I can't get to UCLA because their only win away from home was an anomaly with great three-point shooting. I can't get to Arizona because you haven't beaten a team that ranks in the top 120 this year. So it's a game, remember, Vegas has to put a line on each game. I don't have to put a bet on each game, and I don't even have to put an opinion on each game. I'd like to have a stronger opinion on you, but really those reasons why both teams were a no play for me in this situation.
All right, no play for Ralph. Give me a TNA angle. I need something for bowl season, kind of put in my back pocket, right? To keep in mind. So give me a good one, Ralph.
Kelly, if you're Akron, if you're New Mexico State, if you're FIU, or you're any college football team, when you start practice in August, your goal is to get to a bowl. What do you need to do to get to a bowl? You need to get to 6 wins. So when I look at bowl teams that are 6-6 on the season, you now have to think forward. For these players and these coaches, their legacy for this 2024 season will be either we were a winning team at 7-6 or we had a losing record at 6-7. That is a powerful motivator. If you blindly bet every 6-6 bowl team facing an opponent with 7 or more wins that are ready to clinch the winning season, you have covered 58.7%. That goes all the way back to 2002. If you exclude games when the 6-6 team is a huge dog of 13 or more, that goes up to 60.1%. If that team won as a dog the previous game, so they were 5-6, they were an underdog, they pulled the upset, and now they're in the bowl, that goes to 64%. Only one team applies. That's NC State over East Carolina. And if you're a 6-6 bowl team and you're a favorite, you have gone 68.2% against the spread since 2017. Those 6-6 bowl favorites this year, California, Oklahoma, Arkansas, NC State, North Carolina, and Nebraska.
One more time, Ralph.
Oklahoma, Arkansas, NC State, North Carolina, and Nebraska are all 6-6, playing a team with 7 or more wins, and they're a favorite in that role.
I love it. I'll keep an eye on some of those. I will be on the Cal Bears. Already played that one in my Splash Sports college football pick'em. By the way, you guys have 22 minutes left to sign up for that one. Ralph, you're in Florida, so no excuses. I hope you got into the bowl pick'em. You are the best at Cal Sports LV. Before I let you go, please let everybody know where they can find you over at WagerTalk.
On a nice run at WagerTalk, number 2 in profit over the last 7 days. I have a 3-for-1 package today in college football and college hoops. And my NFL teasers, Kelly, 18-4 this season. I've got one loaded for Sunday. I'll have the rest of my NFL uploaded today. WT.buzz/RM. And make sure to follow me on Twitter or X at CalSportsLV.
I just got a very important text. Thank you to Ralph for hopping in and taking all of your questions. We're going to have Mark Zinno coming in just a minute to talk Army-Navy. Art DeCesar from the Westgate Superbook. He is the best. Even though he is off today, he still sent me those college basketball needs because John Murray was too busy watching Liverpool soccer. He said they will need Arizona -4, Ohio State +13, Tennessee -1. They're going to need UConn outright. And they're going to need Creighton, mainly because a house player laid 11, a $10,000 bet with Bama. So there you have it, guys. Also, don't forget right now, over at WagerTalk.com/the gold sheet, you guys can get a free copy of the football edition just using promo code KIV. It's normally a $19 issue. I'm going to give it to you guys today for free. Mark Zinno, take us home, buddy. My favorite veteran over at Wager Talk. I hope he's not going to be biased on the Army side of things. I especially want to talk about the total side of things. Oh, boy, here we go.
How can I not be biased? I mean, come on, look at this. We're ready to go. Colonel's in the house. Let's do it.
Because you're a handicapper and you're supposed to take your emotions out of things just like I have to with these teams behind me. All jokes aside, thank you for your service, Mark. And I hope Army wins. And I haven't bet Navy, so I don't necessarily hope Navy covers. I did bet, however, the over 38 early in the week. So I'm going to cheer for both teams to have a great time. Break down this game for me. Talk to me about your thoughts on both of these offenses, maybe Navy's decision to go with either quarterback here and how that's going to affect the game.
Well, look, I think a lot of people casually bet this game because it's the biggest game and the only game of the day other than that bowl game that's happening that no one cares about. But, so people casually bet it. What they don't do is really watch the service academies a lot. They don't pay attention. Everybody knows Army's good, but I don't think people have watched Army play enough to realize how much offensively this is a much different Army team than anybody has seen in quite some time, probably since like the 40s and the 50s. They are an absolute wagon on offense. Bryson Daly cannot be kept out of the end zone. In fact, that's one of the plays that I love today is Bryson Daly, 2 touchdowns or more. He scored 2 touchdowns in every game this year, Kelly, with the exception of one, week 2 at FAU. Even in the game where they only scored 14 against North Texas, Bryson Daly ran them both in. When they scored 14 against Notre Dame, Bryson Daly ran them both in. So he's going to find the end zone no matter what. For me, this game is really all about game script. Navy has a problem stopping the run. They give up 160 yards a game on the ground. If they can't slow Army early, and Army gets out to a 14-0, 14-3 lead here, I don't know that Navy can play catch-up. Why? Because Army's defense is really good. If you look at the teams in the American, they were able to keep in check. They can do it to Navy. And so really, this is about Navy getting out early, scoring first, playing with a lead, and keeping Army in check. I just don't know that they can do that. I mean, look, I even looked at other alternate markets, even first quarter over 7.5. Because it's one of these things where these are teams that don't make a ton of adjustments at halftime, Kelly, right? So if we're not over 7.5 in the first quarter and we're not over 19.5 in the first half, we're not going over for the game. They're just going to keep running what they do and doing what they do for 4 quarters. And eventually, like Novocaine, it'll just start to work. And next thing you know, they'll get a lead and win the game. But I think Army can do that. I'm not being biased here. I wouldn't lay the points with Army because you have to respect the fact that these service academy games are typically close. But there is a game script where Army can win this thing 31-7. Like there absolutely is. And so I just wonder how good Navy is going to be. The one thing that we can't account for in this game, Kelly, that we've never been able to account for in this series because it's never happened, is that Army played a game last week. Every single year, these two teams have 2 weeks to prepare for this. Navy's been sitting at home, getting ready for Army, studying film and practicing getting ready for Army. Army spent last week getting ready for Tulane and winning the AAC. Is there going to be a hangover for Army? Are they going to be emotionally sort of hard? Is it hard to get back up again? I know it's Navy, and the Commander-in-Chief trophy is on the line, but can they get back up emotionally again for a big game after a big emotional game last week? That's tough on college-age kids. So, yeah, I agree there's going to be points scored. I lean on the over here. I lean Army. I also would look at an Army team total. I think it's another great way to go because I think that they can score. If Bryson Daly is going to get in the end zone twice, well, we know there's 14. They really only need 2 more scores after that to get over their team total. So there is a world here where I think where Army and the over certainly are the side to get in. But I wouldn't discount Navy altogether. I think that Navy, again, if they are covering early, they'll cover late. But if they get down early, I don't like the game script for them.
Very interesting. That is a very good point. I have not done very well betting against Army the last couple of weeks. I'll leave it at that. B Daddy says he also likes the over 19.5 in Army Navy. I just bet it as well. I do have the over 38 in pocket. So I feel like I just got to sit back and cheer for both teams to have a great time. Zinno, talk to me about this new show with Brian Power that you guys have been doing. It's been really taking off on the YouTube channel every single morning.
The Morning Wager. It is full of laughs, insults, at everybody. Nobody is safe from being insulted on the Morning Wager. Well, except for you. We don't make fun of you. We revere you. But beyond that, everybody else is subject to being ridiculed. But yeah, listen, every morning we give out 3 bets. We each give out one of our own bets and a best bet for the show. And we've been hitting pretty much around 65% for the entire portion of the show. I mean, we've had some bumps in the road, but, for the most part, we bring out a lot of information for everybody. And, the comment section is a hoot. Those guys love to take part in the whole thing. So every morning we get it out there. We get it done. It's usually up by about 10 a.m. Eastern, where the show is posted. Go to the WagerTalk YouTube channel, watch it after the fact, and keep cashing tickets, guys. It's a lot of fun, and we love the feedback from you guys.
Brian Power, Mark Zinno on the Morning Wager. You guys can make fun of me. It's totally fine. I deserve it sometimes too, especially how my college football season ended and how my college basketball season is starting. Zinno, tell everybody what you've got up over at WagerTalk.com, what sports you're covering, and where you've been red hot.
Well, I have 3 plays up for today, 2 of them in the Army-Navy game. So we looked at multiple markets here, and we even have an NBA play in the NBA Cup coming up later on this afternoon as well out in Vegas. Brian Power and I have been red hot during college football and into bowl season. So make sure you guys go get those 149 packages for bowl season because we've done really well last year. 80% winning percentage in bowl season, and I think I was number 1 in ROI and 3 in units. I don't track those kind of things. I don't know. You guys do. I just count winners. That's it. That's all I try to do. So that's what we have going on right now. And again, the Morning Wager every morning, Monday through Friday, WT.buzz/MZ.
Counting winners. That's why you're here, because you have been kicking ass, not only because you're the veteran, the Army veteran over at WagerTalk, and I wanted to get your opinion on the game, but also that's part of the deal. You got to be red hot to be on Last Call with me. No losers allowed. Only winners here.
Kelly. Go Army. Beat Navy. Let's go.
You gotta love it. At Mark Zinno on all your social channels. Again, you guys can catch him and Brian Power every single weekday on the Morning Wager here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. We appreciate all of you who jumped in the comments section, who gave us a like, and of course that are subscribed to our channel. We'll be back tomorrow. We're talking NFL. We've got Yanni the Greek and a few other guys on our list. Let me see who we've got just so that I can be clear. Looks like Steve Merrill is going to jump on and join us. So I love to see that. And of course, Jesse Schul from the other side of the world. I don't know what time it's going to be there then, but he's going to come on and take your questions as well. Don't worry, I'm not going to subject you guys to John Murray, but I will get those needs from him before the show starts. I hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday afternoon. Good luck on all of your wagers.